Yeah, if you take a look over this way, you can see where the slide took out this house, or at least the back of it anyway, the house being in the crosshairs. The experts say this sort of thing can happen when soil becomes deeply saturated. But before it happens, there are often signs that trouble is coming.
I'm speechless.
Who wouldn't be? You're looking down the hill at your home if you're Leon Hillside. It's that one with the big mountain of dirt behind it. It was almost 8 o'clock Sunday night when there was what the fire department is calling a slough-off, where the uppermost layers of the soil slid down the hill into Leon Hillside's home.
Fire department told me not to stay home. I went.
So did the other 7 members of Hillside's family who are now with loved ones. Worth noting, all this dirt came down when it wasn't even raining.
That's a really critical observation.
Matt Thomas is a research hydrologist with the U.S. Geological Survey.
This time of year, when we've had above average rainfall consistently throughout the rainfall season, as we've seen just with this parade of atmospheric rivers.
Can do this, but it can happen weeks after there's been a heavy rainfall. He preliminarily calls it a deep-seated landslide, which is different than a shallow one that can trigger quickly.
They're very sensitive to kind of longer kind of spans of very above average wet rainfall.
Thomas says landslides are possible even without rain, but rain on steep slopes just makes matters worse.
And on those steep slopes, because of that active geologic setting, you have relatively weak soils and rock. And so they're kind of sitting there in a relatively weak state. And so the most common trigger is rainfall.
Any place there's a slope, you have a gravitational opportunity.
Doug Gibbon, who's a geophysicist with the U.S. Geological Survey, says there are signs to look for if you live on a hillside.
If you start to see signs of distress in your home, unusual cracks opening up in concrete, maybe your windows or doors don't quite shut as they used to, and you live in an area that's got a slope on any of the boundaries of your property, then you want to be particularly vigilant to make sure that you don't see any signs that things are going mobile.
Meanwhile, as Leon Hillside looks at his home, he just shakes his head.
15 years, never seen anything like this. Never.
Can you imagine? Meanwhile, another expert, UCLA climate scientist Daniel Swain, reminds us that the risk of this sort of thing does continue long after rain stops and actually increases after rain stops. In Pacific Palisades, I'm Hal Eisner, Fox 11 News.